How's it going, Martians? Welcome to the report. And in this report, this special report, we're going to talk about something not crypto related. We're going to talk about, well, it's going to be more so me going on a rant about how I feel about everything that we have been witnessing unfold over the last several months, and how there seems to be this cognitive dissonance within a select group within the American political system, I guess. I don't know how else to label QAnon other than a political movement, a political group. It's like the Occupy Wall Street movement, you know, which I was a member of. Most of us back then, at least, were largely anonymous. You know, even a lot of us who would show up to the protests, we'd wear our anonymous masks so that nobody could identify us and we wouldn't get fired from our jobs, or, you know, whatever recourse we might have otherwise feared being picked up by the government. But, you know, so I guess that's probably the most appropriate term to label Q. At any rate, the point of this video, and I've tried to do this in several takes, so I'm going to try and keep it under 12 minutes. It seems like once I get to that point, I go off tangent. So the point of this video is to talk about the cake in this image. This cake with the letter Q. It symbolizes the movement, this Q anonymous movement. This where we go, we all go, or whatever the WWGA or whatever it is. Where we go one, we go all, right? I think that's it. Anyway, the cake embodies that, because what I think that most people in the QAnon movement fail to understand is that the person that you associate, or QAnon followers, fanatics associate with being Q, is Donald Trump, or somebody directly, like right next to Trump. They associate this individual as, you know, sharing the private views of Donald Trump, which couldn't be further from the truth. Donald Trump is not a nationalist. I don't care what he tells you on TV. It's like the old saying, watch what they do, not what they say. And what is Trump doing? Well, he's pushing bank bailouts, giving you $1,200 for one month, just one check. That's all you get, $1,200. And Wall Street got 12 trillion or 6 trillion, you know, which is really 60 trillion when it goes into the Fed, and then they are able to lend it out at 10, with as a 10% or as long as they keep that 6 trillion as 10% reserve, then they can lend out 60 trillion, right? So that's, or 4 trillion, I think, is actually what's going to them. 2 trillion is what's going out to the rest. So the 4 trillion is 40 trillion that they're giving to the rest of the world, the corporate world, and you get $1,200. Now, I'll do quick math here. I wasn't thinking of going this route, but I did. So there's 60 million working Americans, right? So that's $72 billion, right? So essentially, American people, you're getting 1/500th, essentially 1/500th the amount of money that the corporate elites are. In other words, your buying power is about to be reduced over the course of probably like 4 to 5 years by 500%. So, what does that mean? Well, it means if you're currently making about $50,000 pretty decent median wage, middle class income, that's going to be equivalent to earning, well, about $10,000. Can you live on $10,000 right now? Person with $50,000 income? How about you have $12,000 income and now not 12,000, that's 24,000, just like poverty. You're like a fast food worker. You're making 24,000. Now you're making 5,000, just about. Can you live on 5,000 a year? I can't live on 5,000 a year, and I've spent 6 months in a developing country. And I couldn't live on that over here. So I know you can't. So what are you going to do in 5 years when that happens? 5 years is a long time, huh? I'm sure they'll come up with some solution by then, right? That's what they want you to think. But the reality is, you're a frog in a pot that's slowly being rose to boiling temperature. You're going to be cooked alive. And you're going to just sit there in that pot like, oh, the water's pretty warm, man. Feels good. Feels good. You're dead. That's what you're looking at. And QAnon, to get back onto the point of Q, what this has to do with Q is that lid on the pot to ensure that you don't try to jump out. No smart frogs are going to try and jump out. How's that? Well, because everybody in this QAnon movement, it's kind of like QAnon is very similar to Bitcoin. How I view Bitcoin, at least. And this is how I view Bitcoin. I view Bitcoin as a tool created by the globalists to get the anarchists, not globalists, we'll call them collectivists, to get the collectivists, or the Bitcoin is developed by the collectivists to get the anarchists involved in the new monetary order, so that they have a vested interest in seeing this monetary order succeed, as opposed to rebelling against it. Because they have a vested interest, they're not going to try and bring it down. Why would they? They're instead going to promote it. The one group that could be the damning force to bring down this system and ensure that it never goes into place because they reject it are the ones who are now championing it. And in the same way, QAnon is the Bitcoin of the New World political order. Where we go one, we go all. Yeah, all. Not just you, America. Where we go one, Americans, we go all, globally. And as a globe, we're going to a new world order. That's not what most people that are Trump supporters want, though. You're nationalists by your very nature. You don't want a globalist system. I mean, many of us in the XRP community do, but that's only because we have a vested interest in a global system. No, you are a slave to the oligarchy, Americans, and the ugly truth is that most of us will still be slaves, more or less, even after XRP goes up, because most of you, even those of you who've held for all this time, there's still going to be some of you out there who sell early. I know it. Because the real challenge of getting rich off of a early investment isn't selling when the markets are going down and capitulating out. It's selling too early when the markets start to go up. It's having this delusion that, oh, well, once XRP hits this certain dollar amount, then I can just cash out and have $1 million. And what you are not considering is that $1 million is not going to be retirement money when XRP makes you your first million. The only way you're going to truly benefit from the great wealth transfer is if you look at XRP as your new money, as your new dollar, and you try and decide how many XRP you need to retire, not how many dollars you need to retire, not how much XRP has to be worth in dollars for you to retire, but how many XRP do you need to retire? And that's really hard to do because nobody knows what the ultimate value of XRP will be in regards to commodities in 10 years, 20 years, or how the architecture of the system is going to be. Well, we actually, you know, if you've followed my videos, you know how the architecture is structured now. I've actually laid this out. In some of my earlier videos, I broke down panels from last year where Brad Garlinghouse and central bankers actually laid out exactly how the system would be structured. And so how you would move XRP between, you know, currencies to facilitate this. You know, so a lot of us actually understand how the structure works, but we still can't say the nominal value of one XRP in regards to, say, a house or food when this market reaches maturity, right? That's why I suggest to everybody, that's why I don't tell anybody how much is enough. That's why I always suggest when people ask that, you know, get as much as you can. As much as you can. As much as you can afford to lose. And I say you can afford to lose because nothing in this world is guaranteed. But it's my belief that the only way XRP doesn't succeed is if society collapses and we go into a Mad Max scenario, which is, you know, at this point, what we are witnessing right now, society really could go either way. I do not have a crystal ball. I do not know how. I'm not personally, I lack the conviction to claim one way or another as to whether the virus is a ploy by the global elites to roll out the one world order, or if it's, you know, if it's just a freak natural phenomenon that, you know, is really just afflicting us, and nobody saw it coming. There was no plan for it, and so we might spiral into complete chaos. I don't know, and I'm not arrogant enough to assume to know, like so many people in the QAnon movement are and do claim frequently. It is absolutely asinine. And if anybody's out there telling you this, please stop listening to that person. They're blowing smoke up your butt. It's the blind leading the blind. They're going to lead you off a cliff. You're going to break your legs if you follow that person. I'm sorry. I don't know anybody that's doing it in our community. I'm sure there's somebody out there, but you know, I've basically tuned out everybody in crypto at this point. I've basically tuned out everything in our community for the last 3 weeks because I cannot personally tolerate the cognitive dissonance that I am bearing witness to across the board. And it's not just in crypto, it's in everything. It's across the world. It's like everybody got locked indoors and for the last 3 weeks, and everybody's slowly going crazy, or they're exposing just how mad they really are because they don't have their daily routine of busting their butt every day to keep them from you know, voicing their insanity. And I'm just like, holy crap, I thought I was crazy, but look at the rest of this world, right? But I've totally lost the mark now. Really the point of this video is to point out that to me, QAnon is the cake, you know, is the French aristocrat saying, let them eat cake. And as it was pointed out in Portal, the cake is a lie. And QAnon is a lie. There is no return to the American Golden Age. America will be the new Rome, or embody the same fate as the Roman Empire. It's in decay. It's been in decay for 70 years. Well, maybe 60. 1950, 1960 was like the height of the American Empire, and it's been in decay ever since. And that point is marked by perpetual warfare. From a historical sense, once an empire enters into perpetual warfare, that's typically the point of no return. And America's been in perpetual warfare since, arguably since the end of World War II. We reached peak performance. We had a few years after World War II of relative peace, and then I think it was like it was the Bosnian War, war in Bosnia. I think that was 1956, right? When was that? No, that's 1995. What am I thinking of? 19. No, not. Maybe it wasn't 56. Maybe. I can't remember what it was. It was. Actually, it might be. I think it is. Yeah, it's the Suez Crisis, which was the second Arab-Israeli war, and that was essentially the formation of the. No, it wasn't, because America wasn't participating in that. I can't remember at the top of my head what war I'm thinking of. That really capitulate America into a perpetual war state. But perpetual war is the downfall of an American empire, or of an empire, because it must then debase its monetary value to fund its war machine. And that's what happened. That's what led to the downfall of the Roman Empire, the downfall of the Dutch Empire, the downfall of the English Empire, the downfall of the French Empire, and now the downfall of the American Empire. It's happened so many times throughout history that it's asinine to think that it's not going to happen again. Anybody that thinks otherwise is fooling themselves. You think just because it hasn't happened in your lifetime that it won't happen? Guess the fuck what? That's why it will happen in your lifetime. These things happen on a 150-year basis. So there's a 50% chance that it will happen within your lifetime. And if it doesn't happen in your lifetime, it will happen in the lifetime of your child. And if it didn't happen in your parents' lifetime, then it's even higher. It's like 75 to 80% chance that's going to happen in yours. And guess what? The American Empire didn't collapse in my grandparents' lifetime. So it's going to happen in mine. That means it's going to happen in most all of yours. So you better just swallow that pill, that nasty tasting pill. That's the black pill truth. But at any rate, I've ranted enough on this. We've hit 20 minutes, and I just wish people were more critical. I wish people questioned their own biases more. I wish that people at large were more capable of stepping back from their own echo chambers, I guess we'll say, and really taking an objective look at themselves, of their own worldview more. I know it's hard. It's something that's very challenging to do, because even for myself, it's something that I struggle with. But I know that it is necessary to do, and I know that I am equally as fallible in my perspective as anybody, and so that's why I make a concerted effort to do such. But it's blatantly apparent to me that most people don't even try. to disillusion themselves of their own belief systems. You know, it's like why I've said in other videos how, you know, I was born and raised a Christian. I became an atheist, and then I dabbled in all kinds of different, you know, explored all kinds of different spiritual views, and now I associate as Hindu, but from a metaphysical stance, not from a spiritual stance. And so, and I can go, like, I started out as, I was born a Democrat, and I've moved to being an anarchist, and then became, you know, a technocrat now. I've gone from, you know, I can point to these things in my life where I've transitioned from, you know, there's this narrative that, you know, people are the same all their lives. I've heard this so many times, but I can't relate to myself even 2 years ago, let alone 5, 8, 10 years ago. Like, those jades are entirely different people when I look back at myself when I was younger. And I've only been cognitively mature for, you know, just over 10 years. I'm only 30, you know, about to be 31. And ever since I've been 18, I've changed my position on key, you know, identity points, key points of identity multiple times. The only thing that I haven't changed is my gender. Like, maybe that's next. Maybe by 36, I'll become the next, what's his name? Jenners. What's her name now? I guess, whatever. Caitlyn Jenner's. Yeah, not happening. But, you know, I question everything about myself, about my views, and I think that's why I am so quick to always debate other people and call into question other people's viewpoints, and why I have such a high what you could, I guess, almost arrogance, I guess. You know, I don't see it as arrogant, I see it as confidence. I have a high degree of confidence in my views compared to other people's, because I know the work that I've put, the self-work I've put into myself to really, you know, ensure that what I believe is not bull crap. To really, because I take the scientific approach to my understanding of the world. I do not try to look for confirmation bias. I try to debunk myself, right? And that's one reason why I've stepped away from crypto, because I feel like, you know, I've spent so much time trying to, I feel like I've fallen into the echo chamber that crypto breeds, and I started finding myself, you know, really reaching to create connections between things, and I hit this point where I was like, well, I can't really say with certainty that this is that, or this and that are connected, because I'm just going off of linguistics. And I know that there's a very powerful connection between linguistic, the use of certain linguistic terms between entities, you know, and coined phrases. But the issue is that, you know, there, at a certain point you realize that you don't know directionality, right? You don't know who it was that coined the phrase, and therefore you don't know who it is that's actually being influential in a situation. You don't know if, for example, we'll go with, and this is totally off topic of Q at this point, but with XRP, we what is the term? Interoperability, right? It's actually impossible to say whether it was Ripple, the Ripple team, who injected the term interoperability into the mainstream narrative, or if they adopted the term interoperable because that is the culture in which they became participants in, right? And so I think that a lot of us, for a long time, were associating anybody that said interoperability with XRP, but really, you know, we don't know. For all we know, the only reason that Ripple says interoperability is because that is the terminology used by the individuals who Ripple's talking to, not the other way around. And so that's why I've really taken a step back, because again, I question everything that I believe. And that's really the point of this video. To anybody that's a follower of Q, question Q. Question more, you know, to rip off RT's saying, question more, right? Just question everything you believe, question everything that you're being told, and look for hard facts. Look for hard, objective evidence for what you're being told by this anonymous individual or these other individuals who associate with this anonymous individual. Don't listen to words. Stop listening to the words people say and look at the actions they're taking. Look at the actions being performed by the individuals whose words you're holding on to like they're there to save your life. Because the ugly truth is, Q is not your friend. Q is most likely your enemy. And if the American people, the revolutionaries in America, don't wake up to the fact that they're that wake up to the fact that Q is probably their enemy, you're going to sleepwalk into a one world, supremely centralized government that will oppress you and everyone else around you around the world. And we will, as individuals, have no say because we do not sit at the very top of the pyramid. Even with the millions or maybe billion that you make off of XRP, you will still be so far from the top of the pyramid that you will have no say. So really get that into your head. Really take that, let that resonate and get sink in, you know, because otherwise the only revolution that Americans are going to experience over the next few years is going to be a literal revolution, a collapse into a Mad Max style world where millions, tens if not 100+ million Americans die because the supply chain will collapse and the society in America is going to completely implode. And that's why I'm not in America, because I don't have faith in Americans anymore. I've lost all faith in the masses to take action. I see the masses as lazy, as indifferent, as accepting of whatever comes their way, and what's going to come their way is going to break you. It's going to break Americans. And when Americans break, when someone is left with nothing, that's when they become dangerous, and the masses are about to be left with nothing. And therefore the masses, the majority, are going to be highly dangerous individuals. And I'm just not interested in having to kill people to survive. Maybe you are. Maybe you're that psychopath that looks forward to the day that the civilization collapses so you can go running and gunning. But I'm not looking forward to that. That's why I'm on the other side of the planet from you in America. It's not just to visit with my girlfriend on the other side of the world. No. Why do you think I got a girlfriend on the other side of the planet? Because I wanted the hell away from America. And I knew dating anybody in America would be a leash, a chain, a ball to me staying in America. And I've seen the writing on the wall for years. Since at least 2014, 2015, I saw that America was going to collapse within 10 years back then. And that means that we're really close now. We're within 5 years now. Maybe a little bit sooner. You know, it might be within the next 2 years. And I just wish that more people would have really taken me seriously, especially the people that I love and care about, because I am so worried about their well-being now, because they're still in America. And you know, even though I know that most of my immediate family is very concerned about what's going on right now, and very trying their best to come up with plans to prepare, I don't know that there's anything that any of them can do at this point to really protect themselves from what's coming. And that in of itself is depressing and makes it even more challenging for me to really come out making content for you guys. You know, that's why I feel genuinely defeated when I look at what's unfolding in the world, because even though I am more confident than ever that XRP is a part of the plan, and most of us are going to be wildly wealthy and successful because of it, it's still depressing to watch, because I can see all the suffering that is yet to come and the pain that is yet to come as a result of the, you know, it's like that saying, you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. And the omelet that we're about to be served is going to be salted with the tears of millions of lives. It's very concerning, and I don't think anybody takes it seriously. And you know, it's like there's not a lot of people out there who still listen to my videos. If anybody actually made it to this far in the video, good on you. I appreciate you. Know that I love all of you who follow me, all of my family who listen to this. I love you all. I wish all of you the very best. I hope I'm wrong. I really, every day, I really just hope that, you know, I'm gonna wake up and something's going to have happened that's going to completely derail what I've seen for years coming. And it's, you know, I won't lie, I didn't know there would be a virus that would trigger it. I just knew that something was going to happen. I thought the economy would just fall apart just because it falls apart. You know, we'd hit a mathematical wall. But the virus has just accelerated that. That's all that these viruses. It's an accelerant. It's not responsible for the collapse. It's just, you know, the catalyst that brings the collapse that much sooner. And so now I'm really scared for everybody. You know, I'm in a state of mourning because I don't, you know, it's hard to really say who's going to be around when all the dust clears. Anyways, I'm just gonna go with this. It's totally all over the place. I'm sorry for the rant, guys. I hope some of you enjoy it. Hope somebody took some kind of message away from this. I don't know what the message was. I just needed to vent myself, to share my views. All the best to all of you. Love and God bless. I'll see you all in my next video on Mars.